Story 1. The basement door wasn't there before. We moved into the house in 2014 after my dad got a new job and wanted a shorter commute. I was 10. The house wasn't creepy in the obvious way. No peeling paint, no broken windows, no overgrown yard. It was just blank. Beige siding, white trim, normal suburban quiet. The kind of place you forget immediately after driving past it. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floors, exposed beams, one bare bulb dangling from a chain in the middle. My parents used it for storage. Christmas decorations, old furniture, boxes we never opened. The first thing I noticed was the door. It was on the far wall, behind a stack of boxes. Narrow, painted the same dull white as the rest of the basement walls. No handle, just a shallow groove where one should have been. I asked my dad what it was. He frowned and said, "That's not a door." He walked over, knocked on it, and the sound was solid. Just wall. I accepted that answer until a few weeks later when the boxes in front of it were moved. No one admitted to moving them. The door was fully visible now. Same white paint, same shallow groove, still no handle. But now there was a faint draft coming from beneath it. Cold air, even in summer. At night, I'd hear footsteps in the basement. Slow ones. Heavy. My dad said it was the house settling. My mom said it was the furnace. But furnaces don't pause. Sometimes the footsteps would stop directly beneath my bedroom. Then came the knocking. 3 taps. Always the same rhythm. My dad finally opened the wall. Behind the door wasn't a room. It was a narrow staircase going down, much farther than our basement should allow. The steps were old wood, worn smooth in the center like something had gone up and down them for years. The air down there smelled damp and wrong. My dad went down first. I followed. At the bottom was a small concrete room. No windows, no furniture, just scratch marks on the walls. Thousands of them, all at about shoulder height. On the far wall, written repeatedly in something dark and flaky, was one sentence. I knocked. You didn't answer. We moved out within a month. The new owners renovated the basement, listed it as fully finished. I drove past last year. There's no basement window anymore. Story 2. My best friend started using a different name. I met Aaron in 7th grade. He was quiet, polite, and painfully normal. We bonded over video games and walking home together after school. He lived 2 streets over in a small blue house with white shutters. I spent the night at his place for the first time when I was 12. That's when I noticed his parents never said his name. They talked to him, about him, but never said Aaron. At dinner, his mom would say things like, "Can you pass the salt?" without looking at him. His dad would say, "Did you finish your homework?" like he was talking to the room. I asked Aaron about it later. He shrugged and said, "They don't like saying it." That night, I woke up to whispering. Aaron was sitting up in bed facing the wall, talking quietly. I asked who he was talking to. He turned and said, "I'm not Aaron right now." After that, he started changing. He'd correct teachers if they called him Aaron, started using a different name every few weeks. Sometimes he'd forget which one he was using and just stare at people until they figured it out. His handwriting changed, his posture changed, even the way he walked. One day, his mom pulled me aside and asked, "Which one is he today?" I stopped going over after that. Years later, I ran into his sister at a grocery store. I asked about Aaron. She looked confused. "There was never an Aaron," she said. "There was just whatever stayed." That night, I checked my old yearbooks. Every photo of him is still there, but the name under his picture is blank. Story 3. The voice that answered wasn't my mom's. My mom worked night shifts when I was in high school. I was used to being home alone. One night, around 11 p.m., I heard her voice call my name from downstairs. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes she came home early. I called back, "Yeah?" She answered immediately. "Too fast. Come here." I went halfway down the stairs before I realized something was wrong. The house was dark. Her car wasn't outside. And the voice, it was close, like it was coming from the hallway, not the living room. I asked, "Mom?" There was a pause. Then her voice said, slower this time, "Come closer." I ran back to my room and locked the door. The voice followed. It stood outside my door and spoke softly for almost an hour, asking questions, repeating things I'd told my mom months earlier, laughing at the wrong moments. When my mom came home at 2 a.m., the voice stopped instantly. She said she never called me. A few weeks later, we found an old baby monitor in the attic, one we hadn't used since I was a toddler. It was plugged in. The receiver was on my nightstand, still warm.